Hello, chefs. This is Chef's PSA, and I'm your host, Andre Natera. Today I'm joined by Chef Amanda Rockman, a pastry chef with over 20 years of experience who spent time working in Chicago's top restaurants like True and 3 Michelin-starred L2O before returning to Austin to open Rockman Coffee and Bake Shop. We talk about the grind of pastry, insomnia in the kitchen, launching on your own, and some advice for up-and-coming pastry chefs. Stay tuned. ChefWorks is the gold standard for workwear in the kitchen and beyond. With millions of wearers globally, they are the largest and most trusted culinary apparel brand in the world. For over 30 years, ChefWorks has been crafting performance workwear designed by industry experts, tested in the toughest kitchens, and trusted by the biggest names in the business. Whether you're just getting started in the kitchen or a seasoned professional, mom and pop to leading franchise, ChefWorks has the gear and uniform program built for you. Find out how ChefWorks works for you. Save 20% on your order with our exclusive discount code. Just enter ChefsPSA20 at checkout.
I'm coming up on 25 years, which
25 years of what? Cooking?
of being in this industry,
as a professional.
cooking,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you think about, since I was 19, I've pretty much worked almost every day in this industry. Like, sure, you take like 3 days off here, 5 days go on vacation, but like for the last 25 years, I've been working in a service every day. So like, there's a lot of different, experiences that you have. And like, sometimes it's funny, like in my bakery now, like I'll be like rolling like croissants or something, and I'll get like a flashback of like something that happened 20 years ago. And it's like a very surreal feeling. I don't know, maybe it's like a smell or something.
Yeah.
But like one particular service I remember. So I was it was like one of my first fine dining experiences in Chicago when I first moved there. Didn't really know anybody. And I think it was like Halloween. I'm like not even pretending, like not even like making it spookier. But I remember like the oven caught on fire, and like the like fire department came in, and it's like right before service, and then take it out, and then the lights went out, and like they were like, we're still doing service. So like we had like a lamp, and I'm like plating up, like, and you've got like something like 27 courses, because it's like you have a caviar course, and you've got like a million amuse bouches and da 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 da. And I remember like plating like via a light, and then people like walking through the kitchen thinking that this was like an intentional spooky moment. And you're just like, fuck, like, and then you like clean down in the dark. So it's just like you have moments like that where it's just like you have like crazy ass services, and I'm like 21 years old. You know what I mean? Like you're like, and like you don't even like at that point, it's like early 2000s. Like no one talks about like emotionally managing yourself, and you're just like having a meltdown inside your head, and you're just like trying to get through service. But I just remember like there being like, I think it was like a crappy IKEA lamp too that they found somewhere like in the basement. And I'm like holding it like while I'm plating and like putting souffles in the oven. And it's like moments like that where I'm like, when you have a hard day, you're like, but it wasn't that day. It wasn't that service. And everything's going to be fine because literally you're just making food. So it's just, I'm just rambling at this point, but you have so many of those services. And it's funny because like a lot of my cooks now are just like, well, like, how come like you don't get anxiety or like you don't have like an oh fuck moment? I'm like, because I've had all these oh fuck moments.
Yeah.
Where like every single time you're like, what the fuck do I do? And like, oh my God, I messed this up. Like I remember one time like making so much brioche at a restaurant in Chicago, and like the way that I rolled it, there was like a hole in the middle of every brioche. And the chef came and he cut every single loaf of brioche and like shoved it in my face. And I remember just being like, I fucked this up. Like, what am I going to do? And I made like so much.
It wasn't like an intentional hole that you were going to put like a foie gras.
No. It was like the way that I rolled it. Maybe I had a little too much flour, and like I had like this perfect hole, and he just every single loaf. And it's like, and it's demoralizing because he's just like not even saying anything. He's just like showing you like the hole, and you're like in your head, you're just like, what the fuck am I going to do? And you turn to bread pudding, and then it's sold out, and you're like, great, I made a ton of money. Or the restaurant made a ton of money, but.
When you first started working in Chicago, you were coming like straight from Texas to Chicago?
No. So when I graduated high school from Texas,
Yep.
I moved to Boston to go to film school, as one does, and I was going to Emerson College, and I noticed that I was skipping class to go stage for free in restaurants. There was a restaurant called Radius. It was like fine dining in the financial district, and that was like my first place that I went. And I remember the chef Patrick something. I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name. But I remember going there and him being like, "Why do you want to stage here?" And I remember being like, "Well, I want to work at the best, so why not start there?" Like the amount of cockiness that I had in that moment to be like, "Well, I should be here because I want to be here." And he was like, "Fuck it, let's go." And so I would stage for free in the restaurants. I remember it feeling like a pirate ship.
Did you even know what a stage was coming from film school, like working in a restaurant? Like, I want a stage?
I did because like I had originally like I had gone to like CCA in San Francisco and I had looked at CIA, but you know, good Jewish girls don't go to culinary school.
Yeah.
In 2000, you know what I mean? My mom was like, "You go to college," and I was like, the next best thing was to piss her off. I was like, "I'm gonna go to film school," right?
Yeah.
And because I wanted to be creative, like I couldn't. It was either like I could either take a creative path or I needed to be like in the army because I need structure, but I also like to be creative.
Okay.
And so yeah, I was like skipping. I was like, if I had to see Blade Runner one more fucking time, I was like, I'm gonna just not make it. So I would like be staging. And I remember like I really wanted to work at Number 9 Park, Barbara Lynch. And like I was just really enamored with like the food world.
You know what I have in my office? I have a painting by Barbara Lynch.
Really?
Yeah, a lithograph. Anyway,
I had a friend who just bought like some of like she had like sold some books, and he was like in a rare books at cookbook store in Portland. I literally just got off the phone with my friend Erling, and he like bought like really wants to like she had sold like an LBU set, and he's like, I really want to buy it.
My old Bluey set got stolen from my office, like the whole set.
Jesus.
It was like I had all the years, and you remember back then it came with like the CD-ROM.
Yep.
It was great. It's like, fuck, how do you use this? Because that's where all the recipes were. That's where all the recipes were, right? And it was like
and they thought they were so cutting edge.
It would be cool to have a like a culinary museum of like really cool things. I have a couple of cool things. I'm gonna brag.
Okay, what's your coolest thing?
Well, I'll tell you my like top 3 coolest things.
Okay, you got 3 coolest things. I'm
like
struggling for one. Okay.
Like my top, I have a menu from the Savoy in London when Escoffier was the chef signed.
Oh Jesus. Okay, that's cool.
That's pretty fucking cool.
That's pretty cool.
I have a lithograph by Barbara Lynch. I have another one by Jacques Pepin that he painted, right? Because he likes to paint. Those are top 2. Then I got like signed cookbooks that are pretty cool, but those are like you can get a signed cookbook by a chef that's alive. You can't get a menu by Escoffier.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't think I have anything that cool. I have some cool cookbooks that are signed, but yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna like go home and think about what I need to go get. That's cool. Okay.
Back to film school.
Back to film school, right? So, and then I ended up dropping out of I was going to go to NYU for film school, and then ended up dropping out and going to CIA.
Yeah.
And then I had my externship in San Francisco with Emily Lucchetti back at Farallon, which was like a Pat Culetto, like crazy, like glasswork on the ceiling. It was an open kitchen, like the best experience a 19-year-old could freaking have. And then I went back to school, finished it, and then I wanted to work at True or Number 9 Park. And I got both jobs, and working for Gail Gann was definitely like a dream of mine.
Yeah.
So
you have that dessert cookbook, right?
She has many cookbooks, but she also was like on Food Network.
That's right. I'm trying to think like
Sweet Treats.
Yeah. She I mean, that whole time, for people that don't know, like these young cooks don't know about True.
Nope.
And the glass staircase of caviar.
Oh yeah.
And
oh yeah.
the fucking amuse bouches with the little shot glasses.
The Versace.
Right? Like
Versace.
It was you were all
soup course. Where did the soup course go?
Where did soup go? Soup's not cool anymore. I mean, it's still cool to me, but
amazing.
But I love soup.
I know, but it's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, you can't do soup. You got to do like a broken white sauce with green oil. That's cool.
Yeah.
Soup, not so cool. Even though it probably tastes better than green oil. Mm-hmm. But it's funny because like I remember getting that True cookbook.
Oh yeah.
With the fucking with the staircase with the caviar.
Yep.
And it had
try polishing that every night.
The amuse bouche section, which was like the first book that did like a real true and it was like juice. Right? It was like a juice section, right?
Yep.
I'm trying to go back. Shout out to
Rick Romano.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was 21 when I went to that kitchen. And I remember going and staging, and I found out the day that I graduated, I got a phone call from them. And I remember because it was like I had my U-Haul packed, and I was like, I'm either moving to Boston to go work for Barbara Lynch, or
What year is roughly this?
This is 2002.
Okay, so Linea doesn't exist yet.
Linea doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, L2O doesn't exist yet.
L2O doesn't exist. So either like when you went to Chicago,
Trotters.
you went to Trotters or you went to True.
Yeah.
And those are the 2 people that you worked for. And I never got to work at Trotters. that wasn't my path.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people who like went to True and then went to Trotter. I was a little bit more into like, not that Trotters wasn't, because I remember probably one of my best meals was at Trotters.
Mm-hmm.
I just liked like a little bit more of like the showiness of like true, and like I kind of liked like the little more bougie of it
Yeah.
than more like maybe like the classic. And that was just like where I was in my life at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still bougie.
Right?
I'm still
I
there.
mean,
I haven't grown out of that
I
phase.
like nice things, you know?
So,
Who doesn't, right?
yeah, like what are my favorite? Like caviar, some nice cigars, some
Uh,
expensive whiskey. I'm good.
mm-hmm.
Anyway, we digress.
Caviar is the shit.
A lot of people not caviar. I fucking love it. It tastes good.
Oh, it's delicious.
I love caviar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're eating shitty caviar.
No, I think it's either you like it or not. I mean, there is shit. Actually, you know what? Caviar, like whatever. I could eat like the crappiest caviar. I'd be like, I'm still happy. But like every year for my anniversary, my husband and I like we go and we get like caviar and martinis. Like every anniversary, that's what we do. And I'm just like every year, I'm like, wait one more year.
Yeah.
Get that caviar.
I mean, I definitely think caviar has a place. Now, I get it. I think why caviar gets a bad rap is because people are like, oh, just gonna throw it on something, right?
Okay.
I get that. But like for me, caviar, if you're getting caviar, it's like you're getting caviar.
Yeah, get the whole setup.
Yeah, that's what you're getting. You're getting caviar. You're not getting this, that, and the other with caviar.
Yeah.
No, you're getting caviar.
Yeah, I don't like caviar on like lump crab. I want caviar in a freaking Bellini with some creme fraiche and some red onion, and I want a dirty ass martini with it. And I just want it like that.
I'll take caviar with like wheat thins.
Oh.
Okay.
What about a Triscuit? It's a little crunchy.
Yes. Caviar and Triscuits.
Triscuit.
That anyone listening, boom, there you stop. Go. You don't have to do potato chips only. You could also do Triscuits.
Yeah. Salty, crunchy, multi-layered. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So true. You know, and it was like a very formative, I think I was there for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And I became the roundsman. And like so many tears. So I cried so much.
In the walk-in or?
No, on the train.
Oh, on the train. Yeah.
Waiting for the brown line.
Let people see.
Waiting for the brown line, or the red line. But I think that, just like, but like again, like, and it wasn't because like, I mean, granted, it was like hard. It was a hard kitchen to be in. But like the camaraderie was really great. But like I also was just like really young.
Yeah.
You know, this was like my first. Like Fairlawn was really great. That's also in California. Like the antics in California are a little bit different than like the rest of the country, even at that time. So like I just had like a lot of learning and growing up to do.
Yeah.
But
and you worked in some great kitchens overall in Chicago. What were some of the, like for people listening?
Sure.
L2O.
L2O. I worked for Sean McLean. Shout out. So he had Green Zebra. I worked at Spring. I worked at the Bristol with Chris Pandell. I opened Belena with Chris Pandell. I opened Nico with Paul Kahn and Erling Wubauer. I was at the Peninsula Hotel. That was my first hotel, which, talk about a hell of, like, I was a sous chef there, which I had no business being a sous chef. I think it was like 26, and it has 5 restaurants. One is a 2-star Michelin with Curtis Duffy.
Oh, that's right. What did he have there?
He had Avenues.
That's right. Yeah.
Incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the reason why I took that job is so they had me, I had a 2-day stage.
Yeah.
It was 48 hours. I didn't sleep. I had to do like a 360 showpiece, something like 8 plated desserts, an amenity, like, and I'd never done a hotel. And I passed out in my stage. I remember like I was putting macaroons into the Avenues oven. And I remember like I was like dialing, because it was like a Alto Sham. And I was like dialing it. And I just realized it was in Celsius, not in Fahrenheit. And I think my brain just like was like, we're turning off. And I apparently fainted. I wake up to them carrying me out of the tiniest kitchen. And I remember being like, my macaroons, like, you know what I mean? And I remember at that point, he looked at me and he was like, are you going to go home? And I was like, no, I'm finishing my style. Like, I'm finishing my tasting. Like, let's do it.
What was the tasting again?
It was like, it was a showpiece, a 360 showpiece,
okay.
Sugar showpiece.
Okay.
I did sugar. And I remember it was something like 8 desserts, but it was like one had to be for Shanghai Terrace, 2 had to be for Avenues, 1 had to be for the lobby. Then I had to do like a tea service thing. We also had Pierre Gourmet, so I had to be a retail pastry, so like a tart or a pâte à choux or blah, 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 blah. And then I had to do an amenity. Granted, like all I had was restaurant experience.
So doing an amenity for a hotel, like you don't know what the fuck that means, right?
Well, yeah, you're just kind of like, okay, so like I'm making some bonbons, and then like you're making like something zhuzh. But like when I worked at the Peninsula, and I had...
Did you have, by the way, sugar pulling experience?
No.
Okay.
So it's me just like raw dogging it.
You want to hear something fucking stupid I used to do? So when I was in California, we had this tasting menu restaurant that I had to oversee. And they wanted the menu to change every day. Because this is like, well, Charlie Trotter changes his menu every day. You got to change, or French Laundry does it. Or so I was like, okay. And so for every table, my pastry chef had to make a sugar showpiece. And we didn't do a ton of covers.
Yeah.
But like, like for the pedophores, right?
Yeah.
My fucking pastry chef hated me. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
I didn't
do.
care. I was like, fucking pull that sugar. Bitch, start stretching.
And you're like, my hands hurt. We had an executive chef. I'll just call him a German. But he would everything would be like bigger, bigger. And my chef at the time, Celine Plano, God bless her, she's the best. But we would just be like, I don't know how much bigger we can make this. And she's like 5 foot. And like we're trying to carry this thing through like the banquet kitchen into the lobby. But I was just like, this is so stressful. And no one's eating this.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what, you're gonna like it? Like, I hate showpieces. And then on Top Chef, like every single fucking thing that we had to do was like, and we'd be like waiting for them to tell us, what our challenge was. And it'd be like, and another showpiece. I'd be like, why? It should be just called like just, not like it was like Top Chef, just dessert. It should have been like just showpieces. Because that's all it was. I hate showpieces, but had to do that stage, got the job. And I remember them, they offered me the job like at the table. And I remember I started laughing because I was so tired. Because I was like, first of all, like, how am I getting this job? And secondly, like, I remember being like, I need to go home and get some sleep.
48 hours without sleep. Are you exaggerating or?
No, I'm not exaggerating.
How did you work 48 hours straight without sleep? Were you hallucinating?
I was just like slap happy I remember going to like the downstairs staff changing room and like doing like a French bath.
Yeah.
And just being like you gotta like, because I thought maybe like I could go home for a few hours, but like I just was running out of time for the amount of stuff that they wanted. And like I didn't have the foresight. Like when we got a new executive pastry chef, like she brought in a bunch of stuff that she'd already pre-made. And then I was like, oh, that's how you do a tasting like this. But like, I had never done this.
Yeah, fair. I know, anecdotal, but I used to have really bad insomnia, like really bad. Like I'd sleep like 1 or 2 hours.
Yep.
And sometimes I would go no sleep. And I know, I mean, like insomnia is bad, but it was like, I got to work. I got to blah, blah, blah. And I used to hallucinate things that were not there.
Oh, wow.
When I'd get really, really sleep deprived, like I'd see someone walk by. I was like, I'm home alone. No one's happens to be in the house with me. And I just saw them make coffee over there. And I'm like, I need to sleep.
Yep.
Yeah. Sleep is important.
Yeah. Sleep is, I have a very, very regimented sleep,
Hygiene? Like sleep hygiene?
Yeah, like I have like how I go to bed and like
how do you go to bed?
How do I go to bed?
Yeah.
Okay, so wow,
people can learn from this. Like
sure,
it's good.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I had insomnia for about 10 years. And it was like it happened like when I was like 30. Like all of a sudden it was like I could sleep anywhere. All of a sudden it was like I can't sleep.
Yeah.
I remember it was happened when I was opening at Nico because one of the owners was like, "Rockman, you look like shit. Like you need to figure out your sleep situation." And it wasn't until recently, but we have something called Zen Zone at my house where basically like I turn the lights down at a certain like degree because we have these like smart lights. I play 432 hertz music. I take 5 milligrams of THC with CBN.
What's CBN?
CBN is like where they basically like I think they apply more heat to cannabis where they take the psychoactive out. And so it's just like a relaxing. So like things like I have no problems like falling asleep. I have a problem staying asleep.
Yeah.
Because I'll wake up and all of a sudden I'll be like, did you order the butter? Is the oven going to be okay? Is so-and-so going to show up to work tomorrow? And like, I try to solve like all the world's problems and I'll be like, just go to bed, please. Like, you're not going to solve this. But like, now that I do this, it's like, I can like sleep through the night because I just need to like turn my brain off.
Do you take like magnesium or anything like that?
No, I tried all that.
Didn't work?
No.
So not sponsoring the show. Shout out to my sponsor, Chefworks.
Okay.
In regard. But anyway, not sponsoring the show is, Athletic Greens. I think it's AGZ. It's some new product. So I just bought it. So you're supposed to take it for like 30 days and see if you sleep better. So then I have the sleep tracker thing. So I notice when I'm taking it, my sleep score is better.
Okay.
But I stopped taking it the last couple of days because I also noticed I woke up dizzy. So I'm like, is this related or unrelated? So I'll start taking it again tonight. If I'm dizzy tomorrow, then yes.
Then you'll know.
Fucking Athletic Greens. Or I love depends.
Yeah, you're like,
hit me up.
50-50. Here we go.
Do I love I don't know.
I don't know. I'm a huge proponent of THC for medical purposes.
Yeah.
So that's just a personal thing. It's helped me like a ton.
Yeah, for sleep.
For sleep. Yeah. I don't, I'm not looking to get like fucked up. I'm just
it puts me out. Like I sleep too hard.
God, what a dream.
No, I mean, but back to the insomnia piece. A lot of chefs. I didn't realize how many chefs struggle with insomnia.
Oh, I'm sure of it because it's
Yeah.
like your brain, like not only that, but like you're getting so overstimulated.
Yes.
Like I notice like if we have a really hectic day or like I'm doing a lot of prep or if I'm working front of house and you
Hmm.
see something like 500 customers in a day and you're like, let me talk to the chocolate chip cookie, let me talk to the croissant, you know what I mean? Like you're just like repeat, repeat, repeat. Then like I think it's harder to turn your brain off to the point where like you can actually relax and like
Yeah.
kind of like just separate yourself from the day. Um,
You have a very intense service, and it's a good or a bad service. Let's just say it's a bad service, and then you go home and like you fucking upload all the cookbooks because like we need to improve the menu, and you're there with, like Charlie, and it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
yeah, you're minority reporting the shit out of it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like what's going on? And you have all these ideas, and then you're trying to correct it, and the lights are on, and the music's going, and it's like,
Yep.
fuck, it's 5 a.m. I need to sleep.
Yeah.
Nope. We'll just get like a quick power nap and go right back at it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
It was a problem for me. It was a problem for me for a number of years until I like, okay, I really got to correct it. So in my case, I didn't like sleeping. I thought like I could accomplish a lot more if I didn't sleep.
oh God, I love to sleep.
Like I didn't like it. I was
Yeah.
like, I think about how much more productive I'd be if I didn't sleep.
Mm.
And so I would like force myself sometimes even to just stay up longer so I could write more, create
Oh,
more,
wow.
whatever. And then what ended up happening is like, this is probably not healthy.
Yeah, you need to sleep in order to be productive. Like your
Right.
brain needs rest.
Because I would start to get delirious and I'd say
Yeah.
stupid shit. And then, chef, that's delirious, right? Not that I was that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. You don't have like the mechanisms to make you be like,
Don't say that.
Don't say that.
Yeah, yes. Let's say the stupidest shit we can. But what ended up happening for me is I couldn't turn it off. So when I realized like, okay, this is unhealthy, I should probably sleep more. I was like, I can't. I'd
Yeah.
lay there like I don't know how to sleep now, like a full. And so sleep hygiene was.
Yeah.
I went down that rabbit hole so I could really correct it. Now I don't have that big of a problem. Now I'm just trying to get better at it.
Yeah.
Like it's a sport.
Mm.
Want to compete?
I mean, I feel that. It's like, did I get a good sleep tonight? Okay, yeah.
Like
No.
what's my score?
See, I don't do any of that just because I feel like I would get too competitive about it.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get good sleep so I can be the best that I can be every day.
I notice because I do like a lot of brain games, puzzles, and shit like that. I notice when I get a good night's sleep, like I'm like 10 IQ points better the next day.
Mm.
Yeah, I notice it just because I could track it. Right, yesterday's performance was this score, and today with a good solid sleep, it's this score. It's like okay, yeah, it does make a significant tangible impact. Back to the tasting.
Mm.
So when I was a chef, and if I was hiring a pastry chef, specifically in a hotel, if I'm for a luxury hotel, I would make them do 2 desserts. One for the fine dining restaurant, depending on what that fine dining restaurant looks like. Another dessert that's like for 1,000 people.
Yep.
So they can't look the
Banquet.
same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Show me different skills. Like, do you have restraint to
Yep.
pull it off for 1,000 people? Do you have finesse to pull it off for 10? Right.
Right.
Or for the tasting?
It's like you make cheesecake, you make fromage blanc. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then make bonbons.
Mhm.
Decorate a cake. So I wouldn't have them bake a cake. I would give them like styrofoam, like decorate. I want to see that you could decorate a cake.
Mhm.
And then, so it was cake, dessert, bonbons, and I think that was it. Oh, and I think a bread.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't too crazy. Like, laminated dough. That's what it was. And
Right.
to make some sort of laminated dough. But before I had much less common sense, I would also say, and a fucking showpiece. And I want to see a sugar showpiece of some sort. I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And honestly, people don't do them anymore.
I mean, I think I've seen like a few, but yeah, it's not. And also like with some of the showpieces that you see now, I'm just like, like I mean, they're like sculptures. Like it's incredible. Whereas like the stuff that I made, I'm like, I don't want to relook at that or relive that. It's just like not my strong suit, and it's not what I was passionate about.
Yeah.
I wanted to make stuff that you could consume.
You bring up something interesting, and I think it would be good to talk about
Okay, let's do it.
because a lot of people go into culinary school for pastry,
Mm-hmm.
and then,
Do they?
well, yeah, they do. I mean, they do. Strangely enough, like why? I'm just kidding. But they do. They do go into culinary school for pastry, and then when they get out, I'm oversimplifying. But there's usually 2 paths. Pastry chef.
Yep.
It's going to an independent restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
where you're working by yourself,
Yep.
and you're making the same as the line cooks.
Yep.
Right. And
Team of one.
yeah, team of one, and you
Mhm.
probably got a creme brulee and a chocolate dessert and some ice cream, and
There's a fruit somewhere in there.
there's a fruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, or go the hotel route where you're gonna have to learn a whole lot of shit, but a lot of it, you're gonna learn a whole lot of shit, but 50% of it's gonna be boxed.
Depends on the hotel.
Depends on the hotel, right?
Yeah.
So obviously it's a sliding scale of luxury hotels and everything's from scratch to the fill in the blank chain hotel that like, okay, you're only making desserts for the restaurant, everything else is coming out of the
I'd like to
box.
introduce three other options. You
Yeah,
can
go.
go into bread.
Yes.
So you can work at a bread bakery. You could go into a like bakery, like viennoiserie, and you can also go into like chocolate. Those are very niche. Like the chocolate's niche,
Right.
but you can go work for like a Norman Love or a Jacques Torres or blah 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 blah. So like there's people or like a there's just like other chocolate companies you could go work for. So,
Norman Love makes me
but those are like smaller. Like people have to really know what they want to do. Or you could also go into wedding cakes.
very
There's
true.
plenty of that too.
Very true.
So there are like smaller little things, but again, it's all really small niche things. I do suggest that pastry cooks do go through a hotel once in their career, and I would prefer a luxury one where it's like a bigger
Yeah,
kitchen,
for sure.
bigger staff, bigger equipment. You're doing
A
everything.
pastry chef that is there.
Exactly.
Yes.
I wasn't really into hotels, and I remember I had a friend who worked at Avenues at the Peninsula who then I was looking to leave L2O at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I'd been there like maybe a little less than a year, and we got our 3 stars, and I just kind of realized that like molecular gastronomy, like while it was fun, it wasn't really what I was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So
You don't like eating bubbles?
bubbles were great. I think it was just like honestly, wow, I thought it was too easy.
Really?
Well, while it's like there's like yes.
Yeah,
Like
fair,
the
fair.
prep was just like a little too easy, and like you had all like I made all the prep and then I would hand it off to people who played it at night, and like while the schedule was great, I just was really hungry to be challenged. And so I then went to the Peninsula Hotel, which I mean, I got what I asked for.
Yeah.
I mean, that hotel broke me, but also remade me
Mm-hmm.
because I ended up working for Celine Plano, who taught me everything. Like I thought I knew, I didn't had no fucking idea. Like she taught me viennoiserie, showpieces, entremets, plated desserts, like how to be smart about your production, and then like also like how to create for volume, but like still like. But the thing is, like they didn't have so much volume where it wasn't like thousands; it was like 300.
Right.
So it was like that sweet little spot.
So, you know, I've done both. I've done restaurants. I've done luxury hotels.
Mhm.
Luxury hotels.
You
Some-
learn a lot.
Sometimes luxury hotels in general all get lumped in together, and I don't think that's fair because luxury hotels are very different from all hotels.
Oh,
When you're at the top end of hotels, it's also like being at the top end of restaurants.
Yep.
And you have one of the differences that I don't think people realize is when you're in a luxury hotel, in a big luxury hotel at that, you get so much more exposure to different things.
Oh yeah.
Like you were just talking about bonbon making, making entremets, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But one of the things I guess that I was going to ask you, this is where I was leading you with the question, so I'll bring it right back,
Take the wheel.
is for someone that's coming right out of culinary school and has no frame of reference of what it's like to be at that little, or not little, but just an independent restaurant, a good independent restaurant, or a hotel or a luxury hotel, or like, what are some of the things that you would say, hey, here's some things that you need to know before you go into each one of these, and this is why they're different.
Okay. What I would always suggest staging.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know it's hard to get into places now. Like, for example, people ask me a lot for stages, and I said no for the first year. And I actually, shout out to Maya. She convinced me she's going to CIA in January. That's where I went. That's where my lead baker went, Amanda. And so she wanted to get some experience before she went, and she pleaded her case, and now she's with us. So I would highly suggest that people who want to do this stage at all the variations, like a bakery, a bread bakery. If you can get into making cakes, even if it's just for like a day or a hotel, if they let you, just so you can see the movement of the kitchen, the energy, and then like it might help you kind of like direct as to like where you want to go. The other way that you can do it is you kind of like cherry pick your way as to like, I'm going to be here for, 2 years, and then I want to go get bread experience, or I want to go get this experience.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I think it's important for the first 10 years. And I know that people are going to gasp when they say 10 whole years. I think you need to kind of like explore the whole market.
Yeah.
So you can see what is it that you want to do that you can then like dive into and then like dedicate your career to. So I remember I had my roommate in culinary school. She did her externship at Jacques Torres. I remember like we went to New York, we went to go visit him, and he's like showing us around his chocolate shop. And I remember he gave me a piece of advice. He was like, don't try to do everything. Just like pick one thing and really hone in on it.
Mm.
And what I agree with that because it's just like you could kind of like jump around and like I could go make, bread and baguettes and then I could go do this. Whereas I think a hotel is great because you can see a lot. And then I would kind of like cherry pick like what area of that hotel did I love a lot and then go towards that. But some people might like the variety too. So I know I'm kind of talking at both sides of my mouth, but I think it's important to explore the first 10 years and not be so fucking concerned about the title. Like, and I personally, I went from cook to sous chef to cook to chef to cook again. Like, I went back and forth because it was all about the experience. It was all about the chef I was going to learn from, the food that I was making, the actual learning that I was going to do, opposed to like, well, I'm a sous chef. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, I could be a sous chef, but like, what really, like, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, like, what do I know? Don't I know? So I just wish that people, I guess my words of advice would be like take the journey and live in that moment and explore and don't be so concerned with like titles and I mean you got to make your money but like don't be so consumed about that extra dollar if like you're learning somewhere or there's like it's a great place to be. Put that time in.
Speaking of making dollars, you recently opened up, which by the way, it's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's fucking delicious. Like every time I've been there a couple of times, and every time I leave with a box, and I fucking eat everything.
I love that. It's like that lonesome one. You're like, no.
It's amazing. Like everything that you make is extremely delicious. But let's talk about for people that don't know, like what is the behind the scenes of opening the Rockman Bakery?
Oh, behind the scenes.
Like
well,
how long? First of all, when did it start?
Sure.
And then walk us through the process of how we got to where we are now.
Sure. I'm going to try to do this concisely because this bakery took so long to open, so long to build that it is not the norm and it was laughable. Like sad clown laughable. So I got the idea in 2020. I always thought that I would work for other people. I like infrastructure. And I felt like, while I like to take ownership of like where I work, I liked having like an accounting department, a marketing department, ownership, being part of a team. And it wasn't until, and also like, I am risk adverse. I'm not like a big gambler. So during 2020, world ends, everyone's getting furloughed. All these restaurants are closing. And like just being in the meetings, like I realized like nobody knows what they're doing. And then so I was like, well, I can be someone who doesn't know what they are doing either. And I also kind of realized in that moment where everyone's like, especially during COVID, it's like, we didn't really know what it was. Everyone was scared that they were going to get it or get sick or whatever. And I remember thinking like, what is the one thing that like I would be really upset if I didn't do? And it was just try to open up my own thing. So Rockman did basically during COVID, I would go work at the hotel and then I'd come back because there's like you couldn't go out. And I wrote my entire business plan. And I created a whole deck, did all the financials, blah, 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 blah. And then, and again, like I try to do it in a way that was like, it wasn't so much pressure where I was like, I'm building my, my favorite bakery and no one has to necessarily see this and maybe it amounts to nothing. So it's kind of like a thesis. And then when it was done, I showed it to a friend of mine and who's in this industry, who's well connected. And she was like, you should take this to market. This is a good plan. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. So I started to kind of talk to other people. And then, I met my partner, Mike Ripka, who is like, he's the chef founder of Torchy's. My husband used to work for him for about 7 years. So he had a good working relationship with him. Kindest man on the fucking planet. Just really is a chef. Like he just wants people to be creative and do good work. But he's my partner, along with, Lorena and, off to the marches, had money. And I was like looking for a space, right? So I really wanted to be on the east side. I felt like it was independent. I felt like it was kind of edgy. I wanted to be an urban bakery. That was important to me, like the feeling, especially like having worked in Chicago, working in Boston, San Francisco. I wanted to have like that city feel, but like it was independent, a little grungy. I'm a 90s kid. And I found the perfect spot in East Chavez, right across the street from the barbecue. Like everyone's staring at your building because you're waiting in line, right? And then I was like, this is going so fucking well. Like it was like a dream. I was like, and I was completely romanticizing how great it was going, right? And I was designing the interior myself. I found, my besties from Lake. They connected me with their GC. They connected me with their architect. Everything's going so well. We start building out. Everything's aligned. It's a little more expensive than I thought. We're gonna make it work. I'm gonna get rid of the terrazzo, a slight little tier. It's fine. And then all of a sudden, everything falls apart because the sewer line is not there. So landlords from Los Angeles, they go radio silent for like 9 months. The city doesn't really care. I'm also not being vocal about it because I'm a director at a larger restaurant group in Austin. So I'm just like trying to manage it on the back end. I go through 3 different sets of lawyers. Like it was 18 months of like, it's happening, that's happening. I don't wish this experience on anyone.
But it's common. It's a common experience that people
I
have
think
to
it's
go
more common now. Like I hear like what happened with Nixta and Austin Electric, or like I have a friend who's opening up one down the street. Like there's not enough power. Like especially when like now that I know, for example, the East Side is incredibly. There's not a lot of information about the utilities on the East Side. I know this now.
Mhm.
Why would I think I needed to know about sewer lines and amps? I'm a fucking baker. I
Right.
hired an architect and MEP.
Right.
They should know these things. They should come and but at the same time, it's like you only know to ask these things until you go through the bullshit of it. So what I will say is if you want to open up something, go to your community and ask people what you need to ask. Like make sure you have a really great lawyer when you're negotiating your lease. Make sure that you have an incredible GC.
Mhm.
If you need a GC, please reach out to me. I have a great one, Hank Haynes, the best man
Yeah,
ever.
great lawyer too.
My third lawyer was the best.
Okay.
She actually listened to me.
There you go.
And the other two just wouldn't. They're like, hey, it's kind of gray in here. And she was like, no, it's right here. Let's go get him, And and the funny thing is the way that it actually kind of got resolved was because I'm in a building that has other units, another unit their sewer line was getting fixed. And I just happened to be there that day. And I called up the landlord and was like, when are we going to make it equitable for everybody that leases from you? And they were like, what? And I was like, what do you mean, what? If you're fixing their sewer line, you're fixing mine. And then they realized that they got caught.
Mm.
So then it just took a really long time. But like kind of like once the ball started rolling and we actually opened, it was a lot easier. I just needed to get closer to opening day because that's what I felt comfortable with. Because people need to understand like these relationships are hard, right? Like your relationship, I learned that like your relationship with your landlord is hard. While it was really difficult, I always made sure that when I talked to them, I was respectful. There was maybe like one incident where I was not.
So how long did it take to get the from the time that you have an LOI to
Opening? I signed my LOI in 2001.
For people who don't know, it's letter of intent, right?
Letter of intent, yeah. 2001. Signed the lease in 2001. We opened in 2024.
Oh.
Yeah, this was not normal. This is like such an abnormal case. Like most people, you have like one little blip where you're like, oh my God, we have to move this is horrible. I would be like, fucking dream. Here it was like, all of the sewage is going in the ground because there's nothing for me to connect to. Oh, City of Austin, can I connect here? No. Can I connect? No. Where can I connect to? They got no answers. You're hiring a civil engineer. Like, it's just like it gets. That's why it became so laughable because it's like you try to like, okay, like we're gonna go here, we're gonna pivot, dead end. You're gonna pivot. It almost seemed like it was impossible to make this space a restaurant.
So now you're in the building. Let's fast forward just a little bit. Now you're in the building, and you're leading a team. It's on your own. You are
everything.
You are everything.
We're all
How do
hats.
you? It's now 2025, 26,
Oh my God.
and everyone's different now,
Yeah.
and kitchens are different now.
Oh yeah.
And you came up in some kitchens that were different than they are today. So how do you adapt your management style to today?
Sure. So I think that
There's probably some, ghost in the machine still lingering back there in the subconscious.
sometimes, it's funny because like sometimes I miss the old days a little
Yeah.
bit where I'm like, kind of wish we could bring back Like you and I talked about this, like the no music in the kitchen.
I'm a no music in the kitchen person.
And I brought it back after having music in the kitchen for like 10 months and everybody freaked out. But I thought it was important that people focus during the busy season. And I thought it was a good learning lesson. And then I just brought music back. And sometimes people just turn it off.
Interesting.
Right?
Because now they understand
They like it.
the quiet focus.
Right. So I think it's like moments like that where I'm like, you can still bring some of the old stuff, merge it with the new stuff. I think that while like the pendulum has swung so far, right? Because like back in the day, the kitchens were hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there wasn't any room for the individual.
There's also a supply and demand issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Yeah.
if you go back, pre-COVID,
Yep.
I had a stack of resumes all the time.
Yep.
Like, I have too many resumes, and everyone has a culinary
wait
degree. Like,
Yep.
maybe I'll let you like do a viewing stage,
Yep.
right? And then after COVID, it's like, please come work for me. So the power flipped. It went from a employer's
market.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. I think it's still that way. I don't think it's swung back to everyone needs. I mean, maybe with AI when it comes for everyone's tech job and they got to learn how to cook.
Oh my God.
Maybe, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so I think that was also a big reason why kitchens were that way, is because you just had a line out the door to work for you. And in Chicago, I'd imagine like, you're a 3 Michelin star restaurant, like everyone wants to work there.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't think that even if you had a line out the door for people wanting to work for you, they shouldn't condone bad behavior.
I agree. But what I'm saying is I could understand.
Because you're like, I'll just get somebody else. But like, I mean, long-term wise, I'd much rather have somebody stay with me for a year than like 3 weeks, because it's like the training takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like when people start to know what they're doing, you can really start to like collaborate and make cooler shit. However, when you coddle, that becomes problematic too.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm kind of learning. Like, I feel like I really started to hone in my management style at Nico in Chicago. Like, everyone worked 4 days, they had 10-hour shifts, they had 3 days off. I was really in, like, my whole thing was like, I need to set you up for success. That means you have recipes, grammed out yields, like methods, training, equipment, ingredients. That's what I promise to you. Also, I'm going to treat you with kindness. Like, I'm going to talk to you like an individual, a professional. So, like, if you don't know, I'm going to show you. You don't care. We have a conversation. And that's my promise. That's my promise to everybody. So, like, you're not holding up your end of the bargain of, like, showing up on time or fulfilling your prep list or acting like a professional. I'm going to talk to you about it. And I still do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I push people, but I don't push them around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to continue. Like, what I tell my team now is, like, look, I have a standard. I'm always going to hold that. Like, the expectation, like, understand, like, I'm never going to come down from it. Mm-hmm. So either you need to meet me in the moment or it's not going to work out. Now, if you don't know how to do something, I'm going to explain a way. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to work with you until you get it. But if you come in with a bad attitude or you complain about stuff, I'm going to send you home, or you're not going to work here. Because it has to be a team. It's a team. It's so much of a team collaborative effort that if one person doesn't pull their weight, everybody feels it.
You said something earlier, and I'm much like you, where you've seen kind of every disastrous situation, so you know how to remain calm in these disastrous situations. Do you feel like, with what you understand from being in some really tough kitchens to being through some disastrous services and situations, that has made you into a very competent leader now, to the point where it's like nothing phases you? Or do you still, does it still sometimes?
It still phases me, like some of the new stuff now. And a lot of it's more like the emotional management of people.
Yeah.
Has me reeling sometimes, because it's like, never in my wildest dreams did I do that to my chef back in the day, or early management did I have to, but now there's like so much more information that people give you about themselves, mm-hmm. that sometimes I find it to be very overwhelming, because the expectation to absorb it is expected. And I'm just kind of like, no, I'm like your chef, I'm your employer, but like, I'm not like your therapist. Like, sometimes it gets to be too much for me.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't want to be there for my people, but at some time it's like, I need to make sure I'm running this business for the 17 people. I cannot curate an individualistic experience for 17 people that makes sense for the business. Now, I think I can have best practices. I can create a good working environment, a safe environment, a collaborative working environment. But when you start, I feel that when you start to try to make everybody happy, I feel like I try to do that a little too much the first year. I drove myself crazy.
Mm.
And I wasn't able to like have any kind of semblance of like any kind of like rest or well-being because I was too concerned about like making sure everyone was happy. And then there was also the guest happiness that I kind of realized after year one. I was like, I need to make sure that like things are running well, everyone's safe and in a good position, but like I can't be so concerned about each individual's personal happiness beyond work. And
Yeah,
for me,
no, I'm with you. It's
which I know is like it's not a really popular thing to say right now,
no,
but it's just like you do the best that you can, but sometimes that there's a threshold.
there is a threshold, and I think boundaries work two ways.
Yeah.
They work from on the employee side and the employer side. Employees need to have boundaries to make sure they're not taken advantage of by their employers.
And I'm very into that, like because I remember what it's like to be a cook. You're
Right.
working 18 hours a day. You're on shift pay. You don't even get overtime.
And employers need to have boundaries to make sure that they are not being abused by their employees, because that happens too.
Absolutely.
Like people don't talk about that. Like they talk about toxic chefs. There's toxic cooks.
Oh yeah.
Like sometimes.
I mean, I got great stories about that one.
Sure. Since you brought it up.
Okay, well I had an overnight baker who got caught sleeping in the job, went to HR, and then said it was my fault because I wasn't motivating him.
Oh,
It's like shit like that I'm like, bro, like
shut the fuck up.
I did not tell you to go to sleep. Like it's just like it's like silly things like that where like
you got to motivate me to wake up.
yeah, it's like you get paid, or when people are like, I want to get paid for what I'm doing. I'm like, what do you think your paycheck is? You know what I mean? It's just like it's like stuff like that I'm like, I want to work with people who just for me it's like yeah, I like nice things. I want to make a great living, but I also just want to work with like-minded people who just want to make amazing stuff every day. Again, it's like being on a team. You know what I mean? It's about like everyone together. And again, like if we all do well and we move up, everyone's going to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to make more money. Everyone's going to have more opportunity. But it's like it's hard to find people who see that. And I guess like also like being on the other side now I'm on ownership side. Before I was like executive chef side, I still felt that way. I feel like the feeling has been the same throughout. I thought it might be different, but it hasn't been.
Can I ask you, just you were talking about your bakery, and I was saying earlier how amazing everything is there. How important it is to you, the qualitative difference that great ingredients make. And great technique and the craft in what you do, because it's not easy.
No,
it's not easy. And a lot of people know how to think they know, but when you work at a high level, it's like there's levels to this game.
And you have to do it every day.
Right.
You need to be consistent.
Right.
That's what makes it
so what makes a great pastry program? Let's start there.
Okay.
Let's start with quality ingredients, and then let's move into the craft.
So I think that having a perspective is important. So like what makes you different, right? So for me, it's like classics. Like we have our classic line, which is like all the things that you love about pastries, and then having like little riffs like the churro croissant or the Parisian flan. Again, based and rooted in technique, but then having our little twist that makes it us. I think great ingredients, I think consistent ingredients are important, especially when you're dealing with viennoiserie and doughs. Sometimes working with different flours that the protein content can kind of change can make it really difficult.
Do you have like a preferred
I like King Arthur.
Yeah, King Arthur. Okay.
That's a personal preference. That's what I've always used. But like there's things like Barton Springs Mills and things like that. But again, like that's a totally different structure of flour. It's going to give you a different mouthfeel. It's going to give you a different texture. So for me, it was like when I made like our biggest like thing is our croissants, right? Like obviously we do like cakes, cookies, celebration cakes, like we do the whole gambit, but like croissants, it was like rooted in croissants and viennoiserie. So Queen Amand Danish as well. But like, for example, the croissants, I really wanted to have an irregular cell structure as far as like the flakiness. So like usually when like you laminate, you have something called folds. You lock in your butter. You have a ratio of like how much butter that you lock into your butter or into your dough. Played with that a little bit. My whole thing was also like, how do you laminate? How many folds do you give? Whereas like I wanted to have this like irregular pop. Like when you cut it, it wasn't like this like tight crumb. It was like this like kind of like airy flaky. So you only do 2 folds. And so it's like things like that where it's like, again, it's about perspective. Do I think I'm the best? No. But do I have a perspective? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that comes through because I
You're
would like
pretty
to think
fucking good, by the way.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I think, and again, you're constantly like the other day, like my plain croissants came out like shit. And I was like reeling and I was like, okay, like it keeps you so humble because like every day you just have to be like, you have to be so mentally engaged. You cannot phone it in. You cannot phone it in when you're making a pastry cream because it's like you don't mix, you don't mix your sugar in with your eggs. You'll get egg burn and you want to make sure that you have a little bit of cold milk and then you like make sure it's like slurred in with your cornstarch so there's no clumps and then you make sure that you engage with the cornstarch and make sure you cook all the way out and also how you cool it down is important so it doesn't get a skin. Like every single moment matters of that process. So you have to be engaged.
It's what I say. They say like what's
Everything
important?
is important.
Everything's important. Everything.
Even scooping your cookie, make sure you're patting it down, making sure that's all the way crisp and it's like the dough's not too warm so that's not getting moopy. Like you have to have, again, it's all about like how you want the end product to be and you want the experience to be and you work your way backwards on how to do that.
Here's a random fact. I don't think I've ever shared this on my podcast.
Let's do it.
I started as a pastry chef. I did. My first year was in the pastry shop, and then I got thrown on the line because someone called out.
Oh damn it! You were like done.
And I was like, they're like, hey, we need it. And I was like, okay, I don't know shit. I know how to make fucking champagne cake because that's what we were making back then, like sponge cakes and weird shit. Like it was. Yeah. If you remember like mid '90s, because it probably bled a little bit over. It's like back then it was like soccer torts and
oh yeah,
it was like I knew how to make all that shit, right? Well, at least I thought I did. I don't know. I can't make.
But I think it's important for savor chefs to know the pastry world because I think my favorite time working for executive chefs were for those who knew a little bit about pastry, liked pastry, respected pastry.
Yeah, and strangely enough, we talked about those restaurants where sometimes there is no pastry chef, and so
there's a lot of them now. There's a lot of them now.
Desserts. Yeah. Like I always fell into that. Well, I'll make the desserts.
I'll make the chocolate mousse.
Yeah. So later on, as I grew into other positions where now I had pastry chefs, I always fancied myself as a fucking pastry chef. And so my fucking pastry chefs used to hate it because I would like, all the creativity comes to me. Here's what I want you to make. Figure it out.
Oh, damn.
I was that guy. Like, how do you make it, chef? I don't know. In my brain, it works. I'm sure it'll taste really fucking good.
I have a 15-point tweel. Here we go.
Yeah. People used to hate me. Sorry, chefs, if you're listening. We digress. I was thinking about that because I was like, the other day I had to make a pie. Like a meat pie. And so I was like really perfect brunoise of like celery root, carrot, onions. And I wanted to make everything like just fucking perfect. Like really meticulous the way I would hold my cooks accountable to. And it took me so fucking long. And I was like, why did I make them do this? This is fucking stupid.
No,
but I still did it. But I still did it.
But the thing is, like, it's even like the little things like that. Like, you have to learn, like, the projects that could take you down. That's when you have, like, the mental fortitude. We have something called cookie butter, right? Because we have cookie butter lattes and we've got cookie butter glaze. And it's like we bake off cookies and then we blend it with milk and you add salt to it. And it's like we make probably like 8 gallons at a time. And so you're on the Roboku like for like 2 hours.
What do you use cookie butter for?
We have cookie butter syrup for our lattes, and then we have a cookie croissant. So we have like
that sounds delicious. I don't know if I had it when I was there.
Exactly. My husband Nick Taylor, he made the idea of the cookie butter latte. Because we wanted to bridge the gap between coffee and pastry. Because in the beginning, people were like, "You just do pastry." Like, no, we actually have a full coffee. Like, our beverage program is really amazing, and also because you have the pastry program and you've got people who are really into beverage, and then we all work together. Like, we've got like a banana bread chai latte. Like everything's made in house. Right. I digress. So the cookie butter, like everybody has the first time they make it, they have like I can see it in their face. They have a full mental break. And I'm like, you need to have the mental fortitude to get through that 2 hours of prep. Brunoise, like you need to be able to just keep pushing.
You have the Brunoise cookies?
No.
Oh,
but like I'm saying, but like that cook has to have the mental fortitude to get through that long project because you're going to need to have that through your entire career. You need to be able to self-soothe and be like, I just have to keep going. Yeah. And that's, I feel like in fine dining, like in those kitchens I worked at, like you just had to keep going, keep going.
Yeah. You're building a skill. You're building a skill that will, and the thing is like when you're building the skill at a young age, it stays with you forever.
Oh yeah. Like, I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I want everybody to do it. I don't think everybody could. I think that they should dabble in it.
Yeah. I'm in the civilian world now, though. So, like, when I see myself doing stuff that I used to make people do, I'm like, wow, this is crazy because I haven't had to do this in so long.
Yeah.
So it's a little different for me. But
But
the thing, if you put me in a chef room, I'd be like, yeah, fucking
the
prove more.
fundamentals, it's
Yeah, it's
important.
like, no, do it the right way. They're
Yeah.
like, but I'm at home, so it's a little different.
But you put your time into.
I
There's
did,
a little
I
bit of
did.
that.
Like, I put in enough time to not have to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, because you were talking about drinks right now, you made me think about like, where do you stand? It's a controversial subject when it comes to tipping.
Oh, yes. I have so many thoughts on this.
What are your thoughts,
Sure.
especially right now? Because I know it's a hot take when the iPad just gets flipped over.
Sure. Tipping is important to the ecosystem of pay for your team.
Mm-hmm.
And where my ass gets chapped is where people are like, it's a bakery, and it's a barista, so I don't need to tip. And I'm like, okay, let's break this down. So the barista is creating, let's say, a cappuccino for you. They're using a $30,000 machine. They are in real time making sure that the temperature of your milk is the appropriate temperature, the foam density is correct, the extraction of your espresso is correct. But they don't get a tip, but like I can crack open a Lone Star and throw it your way, buddy, and I get 20% because it's nighttime and it's alcohol. Like the fact that they don't feel like that is a craft makes me upset. Now, people are like, you can just raise your prices and then you can, like, we have an $18 guaranteed rate. Everyone gets tipped out in kitchen, dish, front of house. So, the reason why that we do, we have like a base rate that basically is like 11 to like $13 and then you get tipped out. Is that, and then we have a guaranteed $18 rate. Is that like when we're busier, they get more money because it's like it fluctuates with seasonality, and we're a small business, right? Like margins are small. Everybody knows it. It's the tale as old as time. Margins are small. We're trying to pay more. It has to come from somewhere. When you do tip or you do service fee, that signals to your staff that money is theirs. When guests tell you just charge more, as an owner, I can do whatever the fuck I want with that money. But I'm trying to signal to my staff, this money is yours. You know what I mean? So like, for example, with our catering or anything pre-ordered, there's a 20% service fee. We get a lot of questions about it. 100% of it gets divvied up to the staff. And again, it signals to them that money is yours. It's not the business's money. It's yours. I think our average tip is 10%, which means most people don't tip.
So where do you, if you had to advise people on like tipping practices, because the other day I was like 20%. That's where my mind
That's
is.
usually what I tip.
20%. But the other day, I don't remember where I was at, and they flipped over the thing, and it was like options were like 20%, 25%, 35%. I was
Right.
like, when did that happen? I don't remember. When did we get to 35%?
Yeah, it's like I would rather do like a custom tip. I think ours is like maybe 18, 20, 22, and then like no tip and custom tip. I think that is like some people want to do the 18, it's a little below. I still think that is reasonable. The 22 is like they had a really great experience. Maybe they're service industry because sometimes I'm like, I'm service industry, 25%, because it's like I know how hard this job is. It's a very physical job. It's a mental job. And also like every single drink, like when they're just getting crushed on the barista line on a Saturday and they're getting your drinks out in 5 minutes and like they're still temping, they're still like all the homemade syrups, they're hand whisking your matcha, to say that like, and again, like, could we change the pricing structure? Could we just make everything more expensive and then we've got like a flat rate for everybody? Sure, I could do that. But again, like I'm also trying to create messaging to my team that they feel comfortable. And then also it's like, this is kind of how this business has been running for decades of how this has worked, right?
And something else to consider that a lot of people don't talk about is some people want to be generous. They want to tip.
Right.
They view it as, let me be generous and give you some money.
But for the people who are like, oh, I don't need to tip you because it's to go, or like you're not making anything. I'm not making anything. These cooks came in at 3:30 in the morning. Like, to me, that is the most undereducated answer someone can give me, because it's like, you don't know. And also, I refuse to be devalued, because just because you do not value what I do or value what we've built does not mean that I should have to then absorb like whatever your perceived thought processes on pastry or coffee.
Mm.
I know how hard it is. I know what I've dedicated my life to and what it took to get here and what these people do daily. I'm not going to let you devalue us.
I have one last question before I get into like my standard questions.
Yes, they're real.
Um, what is next? Like, do you ever anticipate like maybe part 2 bakery or part
Sure.
3? Like, what is your personal goal with this business?
Sure. I do growth
Yeah.
for sure. I have a lot of really talented people that work with me that deserve to have opportunities to grow. So if that means a second location, if that means we venture into, dare I say, wholesale, I don't know yet. I'm kind of exploring, like, you have to kiss a lot of frogs, to kind of like see what feels good. I'm also, I talk to my lead baker and my other lead Kelly a lot about like, what are they interested in? Because I can't do this alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's about the team. And I'm always like kind of like probing them, like, would we want to do a second store where maybe we have more like bougie coffee, where it's more about like single origin, it's pour overs, or do we want to get into wholesale? And we've got like one big person that we're pushing towards. So right now I'm exploring all of those things. But at the same time, like, you still want to stay focused. Like the Cesar Chavez store will always be our flagship. We'll be always doing like kind of an egregious amount of specials on the weekends. That'll be where we do a celebration cakes, and then kind of it's like growing the business up so that, again, I would love to be able to put everybody on salary at a really great salary. So I'm working towards, because there's not a lot of opportunities for pastry people, because a lot of restaurants don't have pastry chefs anymore,
Right.
and a lot of hotels are moving towards box things. So making opportunity and space for people who want to be in this industry that can have a livable wage and good work-life balance, but still really motivated to build something.
So for people that are listening, go to Rockman Bakery.
Please do.
It's amazing. So I'm going to ask you some of my famous chef closing questions, but they're geared to you. So if there was one iconic dessert, what is the most iconic dessert for you?
Brownie sundae.
Brownie sundae. Is that what you?
I'll fuck that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love a brownie sundae.
Okay. I love sundaes.
Also, like, you can do it upscale. You can do a Chili's version. You
Yeah,
can do a
yeah.
gas station version. It can go across all boards. Brownie sundae.
Brownie sundae. Okay. If there was a Mount Rushmore of pastry chefs,
Okay.
the 4 pastry chefs that should be up there, who would they be?
Mindy Siegel, Celine Polano, Sherry Yard. Jacques Therese.
Okay. Is there, if you had like a bucket list dinner, that living or dead, who would you want to cook for you?
Ooh. I don't know why this is popping in my head, but I think I'd want it to be Charlie Trotter.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. That's
There's like
my
so
answer.
much legend behind, and I remember like, yeah, I just remember like touring the kitchen and like talking to like, it just like, it was such a, and also like, because most of my time was in like all my formative years basically was in Chicago, and it was like such like it was like in the air at all times. Trotters, and like all these people came from it, like the lineage that came from him is just, and I'm just so embedded in that still, like mentally, that would be mine.
I had the opportunity at Trotters, and I decided not to because I went to another Michelin Star restaurant to go eat, and
Biggest regret.
it's
On your
one
deathbed.
it's one of my biggest regrets. Like, fuck, I should have gone to eat at Trotters, but anyway, I didn't. Are you a blue tape or a green tape person?
Green tape.
Green tape in the
Green
kitchen?
tape is lighter in color.
Yeah. Do you do something? So if people wanted a quick pro tip in pastry, like start doing this with your desserts and you'll see, and everything will start to taste better. What would that
Add
tip
salt.
be? Add salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Salt to everything
What
and
type?
finish it with salt.
Like what's the salt?
Inside like kosher, and
Uh-huh.
then my favorite salt is Pink River Murray sea salt.
Uh-huh.
But Malden's really great too for like
Yeah.
cookies and things like
Yeah.
that. Like finishing salts on a dessert, I like the Pink River
Yeah.
Murray. But Malden is great for like chocolate chip cookies. Like I just love like a little dash of like my thing is always
Yeah.
like whenever like I taste stuff, everyone's always looks at me and they're always like more salt. And I'm like, more salt.
More salt. Yeah, I'm with you. Like it makes.
They're best friends.
And back to the salt. Are you a Diamond Crystal or a Martin's? What's in the Rockman Bakery right now?
For our
Salt box?
kosher,
Yeah.
it's called Ellington's.
Ellington's.
Yeah, it's
I've
Benny
never heard
Keith.
of. Oh,
Benny
okay.
Keith brand.
Benny Keith brand. Ellington's. Shout out to Ellington.
And shout out to Benny Keith.
Shout out to Benny Keith.
Great company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Major broadliner. They'll work with small businesses. They'll get you small vendors. Their dairy is great. Their plastic wrap. I cannot tell you. Pastry chefs out there, the Benny Keith plastic wrap does not fray in the freezer. It doesn't like, when like it does like the unravel and you have to like take a knife and like you have like a mental, like you're about to lose your shit. Never has happened to me.
Do you remember when the cutter inside the boxes used to like fucking cut your hand off and now it doesn't anymore?
No, they still do.
They still.
Oh my God.
I remember like
I
you accidentally
raped my arm with it once. It was just like blood. No, they still do.
like
They're not like
I don't
little
know.
slide guys.
The funny thing was like at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to reference my home cooking, but like at home, my plastic wrap is fucking sharp. But the one that worked was like never sharp. It's like
maybe
why?
cooks were just like gonna take it to the throat.
I don't know. Well, Chef, this was fun. Where can people find you? On social media?
Social media.
Yeah, on
They
social
can find
media.
us at Rockman ATX or A Rockman, and my personal one, which I don't really do much with, but our Rockman ATX one is super fun.
Yeah, I think your social medias are fun, by the way.
I know I'm 40 plus, so the age of social media was later in life for me. So in order for me to do social media, it just had to be me. Like it had to be authentically who I was, and I just couldn't be like tough chef, because that's just like not my personality. And I find it all to be a little ridiculous. Like I just kind of want to be like, I just want to run a bakery and I don't want to talk to anybody because like chefs generally just like want to be in the back, right? With their people and saying some weird shit or whatever, like being the little nerds that we are, especially pastry chefs, right? And now you have to be like out in the open and be charming is just kind of like, it's laughable. So that's why we just make it weird enough where it's like, I can stomach it.
Well, this is great. We'll have to have you back.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show. You know what to do. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you leave 5 stars or Apple or anywhere else. Nothing less than 5 stars. It's a 5-star podcast, and I appreciate it. That goes a long way. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. You can comment. Let me know what you think. Go to chefspsa.com and hook yourself up. Get the latest books, merch, including free ebooks, my newest book, Bad Cooks Everywhere, and you can find out what we're up to at Chef's PSA. We'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
No Andre in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction. Stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, class is in session.